crash reports
are not
just for
insurance
purposes.
Crashes. They happen at any time of day. Whether it's property damage or a personal injury crash, the incident must be reported. Submitting a detailed and accurate report is essential to multiple agencies. Crash data is not just for insurance companies, but safety educators, engineers, vehicle manufacturers, hospitals, courts, and law enforcement depend on it. This information also assists key groups in monitoring trends and identifying high-risk or hazardous locations and behaviors. Strategies can then be implemented that will lead to fewer crashes, injuries, and fatalities. Nearly 40,000 people die each year on America's highways. That's more than 100 deaths each day. In Minnesota, the number of crashes is down from a peak of 657 fatalities in 2002 to 455 in 2008. While 455 is the fewest fatalities since 1945, we still have a long way to go toward our goal of 0 deaths. According to the Minnesota Department of Public Safety, more than $1 billion is spent on crashes in Minnesota each year. The calculable cost of motor vehicle crashes are wage and productivity losses, medical expenses, administrative expenses, motor vehicle damage, and employers' uninsured costs. In the past, officers filled out state crash forms, but recording data is evolving, and thanks to technology, filling out accurate crash reports is becoming easier.
Filling out the electronic DVS website crash system is probably one of the best items that we've had in law enforcement in years. You take a person's driver's license and the license number off the vehicle, and we can enter that and it will auto-fill. It takes a matter of minutes, and it can be done easier than it can be in the old days when we had to exchange information. All the reports are then sent to the state system, where we can then look at the data and define problem areas in the streets and the engineering problems throughout the state and the cities.
Agencies are continuing to see the value of reporting all crash data.
Our agency writes reports for all crashes. Besides the obvious public contact, we have found the driver contact invaluable. Writing a crash report does not take much more time than a driver information exchange.
When the database of information is reliable and comprehensive, it allows engineers to prioritize and design road projects that can reduce or eliminate crashes.
Accurate and complete crash reports are critical to identifying crash hotspots as well as crash patterns. Without accurate and complete crash reports, we are unable to identify effective countermeasures, which can be as simple as pavement markings or as complex as intersection reconstructions.
Countermeasures include shoulder rumble strips, turn lanes, cable barriers, and guardrails, in addition to some major measures such as traffic signals, roundabouts, and interchanges. Crash data collection can help identify types of crashes and driver behaviors and create educational programs to change these behaviors. For example, it is essential to report detailed information on crashes involving commercial vehicles. These trucks count for only 4% of the vehicle population, but are involved in 12% of crashes. Some may also carry hazardous materials. It is critical to get the U.S. DOT number. This way, carriers can be identified and sanctions can be imposed to get unsafe trucks and drivers off the road. On a national level, the data can identify areas where additional funding is needed and where vehicle manufacturers can make improvements. Locally, law enforcement can use the information to determine the areas and times to use targeted enforcement to reduce crashes and introduce potentially life-saving programs.
You may think that once you fill out a crash report and send it in that it's all over, but believe it or not, the data that's contained on that report is used every day by agencies like ours. We use it for traffic enforcement, directed enforcement, and all things related to reducing those crashes in the first place. And without knowing where those crashes happen and what caused those crashes, we can't help to prevent them in the future.
This information helps the Minnesota Office of Traffic Safety develop important steps to save lives.
from such programs as our Towards Zero Death programs, our Safe and Sober programs, NIGhtCap, and Child Passenger Protection programs. We rely on accurate and complete data also for the evaluation of these programs so we can continue to allocate our resources in the most efficient manner possible.
In summary, all law enforcement officers must understand the importance of reporting all crash data, not just injury and fatal crashes. New technology makes it easier to submit detailed and accurate reports. These reports help engineers develop countermeasures to reduce or eliminate crashes and help public safety officials identify problem behaviors and develop programs to combat them. So, after the injured are cared for, the crash site cleared, and the reports have been filed, the goal is this: to save more lives and move Minnesota towards 0 deaths.